Welcome to the Physiotherapy Sports Clinic. I'm Simon and this is our model PAP. Today I'm going to talk to you about myofascial release and foam rolling of the ITB, which is a fascial structure down the side of the leg, and also the quad. Often we roll these areas in the body for a lot of hip pain, back pain, knee pain primarily, but really it's such a big strong muscle and a big thick to athletes, runners, even office workers, anyone really who gets a bit of a tight hip or a bit of a tight back, okay? So what Pap's gonna do is position himself pretty comfortably, which is where you wanna be, legs side by side, with right in the middle of his ITB, which is just the side of your thigh, okay? Now, when you're starting off with this one, Pap's nice and strong, he's built like a bull, right? So he can take a lot of weight and he's really strong through his core, he's really strong through every part of his body. When you first start off with this, it's quite a painful sort of area to get into and you need a little bit of strength. So what we might do, Pap's come up on his elbow there and on his hand, which is nice and balanced. What I might get him to do is take a little bit of the weight off and bring his foot down just so he doesn't lower himself too hard onto there and smash his ITB and his quad up so hard to start with. Okay, so what he's going to do is position himself pretty nicely, foot on the deck, other foot balanced on the ground nice and softly, hands on there, nice strong position. He's going to start rolling up and down just slowly, right? Now, this is a notoriously painful area to release and really gets thick and tough, all right? Pat's going to go nice and slow. The advantage of what he's doing with his elbow and his hand on the ground, his foot, he can actually control how much force his body's putting through that foam roller and protect him. And you're pretty comfy with that?
Yep.
Yeah, he looks pretty good. He's not in too much pain, he's not grimacing or anything, but I know he's used to this kind of work. He's pretty good at that. Okay, so what you can do, just reposition yourself a little bit. You can see, and that's kind of a good thing to happen on the camera. Sometimes when you're rolling, the roller will work its way out. Before it flops out and you go flying off it, just reposition it and get it nice and ready, okay? Now what he can do here, he can lift his foot here and we're gonna take it up a notch here and he can start working in there. Are you okay there? Mm-hmm. Okay, so he did that straight away. He lifted his feet off the ground. Basically his whole body weight is now going down through that foam roller. The progression beyond this would be to get down on that nice hard floor or even get a harder foam roller. That's sort of a medium density one, which is a nice one to start with really. You don't want too soft and do nothing. You don't want too hard and kind of smashing yourself into next week and you'll never use it, okay? Basically when you're foam rolling, I advocate a couple of minutes, probably 3 to 5 minutes total, a couple of minutes on and then 10, 15 seconds rest and then back into it for a few more minutes. I don't think you should excessively roll yourself till the cows come home. Okay? Cool? You feel okay?
Yep.
Beautiful. Okay. You all right there?
Yep.
All right. So what we're going to do now, perhaps automatically going into position. He's a legend. He's done this before. Okay. So when starting off, a nice way to start off and easy. It looks a little bit tricky, but a really nice way of doing it is having more weight on the foam roller and having two legs positioned. Now, something we definitely have to remember is not to run over your kneecaps. That can cause all kinds of grief and you don't want to go too high up into your hips because obviously that's going to cause a little bit of grief, especially for the boys, okay? Now, as I said, a nice way of starting off is two legs. It takes a fair bit of body weight on here and your legs are counterbalancing you down there so it's not going to hurt your back. And because you've got a lot of body surface on there, it doesn't hurt too much, right? So it's a really nice way of starting off nice and gentle and perhaps going really well, nice and slowly, just controlling that movement. As he gets a bit more confident, what he can do, he can shift up onto one leg, beautiful, and he can go straight down through the front of the quad, which is nice. Really, really good. Now, he's pretty confident on this. So as he gets even better at that, do you want to have a go? Do you want to try lift up? Yeah, one leg like that on top of the other. Beautiful. He looks fantastic. Now there's a fair bit of body weight going through there and this is requiring a fair bit of upper body strength and core strength to do this. So I wouldn't advocate doing this straight up. Definitely start two legs onto one leg with a foot on the ground and then lift up and try and put as much weight through there that you're comfortable with and how much kind of pain that you can tolerate through there. And again, like I said, you want a dull, achy, kind of stretchy sensation. You don't want sharp shooting pain. You don't want pins and needles, all that kind of jazz. Okay? Okay, so now what we've got, we've foam rolled and we've loosened up the front of Pap's quads and his ITB. And as I said, often what you've got to do when you've fascially released something, it's a really lovely idea because you've opened up that fascia, you've changed the chemistry along the nerves and the body's feeling relaxed. You can make hay while the sun's shining and you can stretch it out, okay? So what we're going to do here is a lovely big superficial quad stretch. bring into his deeper hip flexor, which often causes kneecap tracking problems, ankle problems, definitely impinged hip, definitely stuck sacroiliac joints and lumbar spine problems, okay? So Pap's already in position here. Now the reason I have the table so high is that I want to make it quite easy. If we didn't have it high enough, Pap would probably have to start bending his knees, and if you've got sore knees, it can actually hurt them, right? So you've got to find something at home that is maybe a kitchen bench or the back of a lounge. Probably the most imperative thing here is to be balanced and be safe. Pap's is a nice, strong young buck. He doesn't need to hold onto chairs or anything like that. And he doesn't need a wall. I'll grab him if he's going to fall, don't worry. It's okay, all right? But he's not going to fall. But he's set himself up nice and safely here. He's got his foot up behind him. Because he's such a healthy guy, he's not really cramping up right now. Some people might cramp when they put an end of range hamstring position like this, so you've got to be careful of that. If you cramp too easily in here, then you can't really lift up your leg that high for prolonged periods, and you're going to have to work your way up from a lower height and up to this higher kind of kitchen bench sort of height. Now Pap's in position here. So what we want to do, come forward a little bit. I want him to look down at his belly button's the easiest cue, because he wants to keep his back reasonably flat. We don't want him arching his back over like that. He's looking down here, so he's keeping his abs nice and flat. I mean, they're pretty chiseled. and then he's going to push his hip through. So he's looking straight down, and you want a straight line. You don't want him stretching and bending back, and you don't want him slumping too far forwards. He's straight down looking there. He pushes his hip through, and it opens up his hip, and he gets this lovely, you got this big stretch going down through there. With stretching, you stretch for about 15, 20 seconds. Have a little breath, have a little break, come out of it, and then drop a bit further back down into it. Now, he's doing some things naturally, which you're going to have to practice. He's bending his left knee down on the ground. He's dropping his pelvis to bring on that stretch nice and deeply. To start with, it might be a bit difficult to get this position. You're going to have to practice it. And like I said, you might need some chairs to get out far enough from the bed to bring on that stretch there. But really, it's just about dropping down into it, getting your weight forwards. I'm going to give him a bit of a nudge through his hip to open up his hip. Something lovely that happens in this position, you're going to stretch the superficial, tight quad muscles that you've rolled. They're going to stretch first. If you can hang around in there long enough and relax and use your breath and breathe down into your tummy, you'll actually start getting an ache that comes further up your leg, right into the front of your hip. And that's your hip flexor starting to open up. Now the key is, generally, not to lose the stretch by arching back. And a lot of people have really tight hip flexors that want to arch their back, and it actually jams their back, right? See, it's a nice stretch for his abs right now, but it ain't getting his hip flexor, and often that's the thing that we're going for. So it's much better to slump down. The only time physio will tell you to slump, really, right? Slump down, get his ribs down and forwards, elongate his back, and then push his hip through towards the camera, through to you guys, okay? Cool?
Perfect.
Fantastic. Thanks for watching our clip today. I hope you really enjoyed it. We're going to be doing plenty of these throughout the year, so make sure you stay tuned to our Facebook page, and you can get there via our website, physiosportsclinic.com.au. We'll see you soon. Cheers.